Well, welcome to the channel. If you've been here before, thanks for coming back again. Growing this channel has been a ton of fun, and I'm glad to see people coming back over and over again, seeing the same names. And if you're new here, well, thanks for checking it out. I hope you enjoy it, and I hope you pick up some tips or some pointers on how to do it the wrong way. On today's video, I'm going to take that new English wheel of mine and try to build a panel to replace this. Now, I've pretty much come to the conclusion that I'm going to bow to peer pressure, and I think I'm going to end up adding a window back in here, but in a much different shape. Something that kind of follows the lines of the door as opposed to coming down lower. And I got a plan here, kind of marked it out in Sharpie, but first I need to get rid of this where I patched it together out of metal that I had lying around. Now that I've got that English wheel here, there's no excuse for trying to bodywork all of this stuff separately. So do me a favor, if you haven't subscribed yet, subscribe to the channel, and like the video, drop me a comment, and do the whole YouTube thing, and let's just get at it. Realized I was kind of working backwards, putting that panel in first and wasting a bunch of metal I don't need to. So this is my plan for my rear windows. Advantage of starting with 4 doors is I've got 2 extra window frames, or at least most of, and I still got some nice formed pieces there, but that way my rear windows are going to match my doors, which are something that they didn't really do stock. The body lines were just different. So now I'm going to piece these all together. I can line it up on the side of the car and figure out what we can cut away. Well, a little more grinding, cutting, welding off camera. I gotta fix that corner there, but I can do that in the car. I just gotta make a new piece. I'll hammer form it or bead roll it or something. And there you go, guys. That old patch is out of the way. All the drip rail molding is gone, so I'm gonna put this in there. Well, I think that's looking a whole lot better. I think shape of the window was just getting under my skin before, but I think that might be the ticket right there. I'm pretty happy with how that sits. So I got everything tacked in. I'm just gonna nip the metal away and kind of trim up both edges at once and push it in and tack it as I go. And then we can get back to what I was originally planning to start on, which is that piece up above it there. So I made a couple of marks, just the outside edge of this panel, because that way when I throw this thing up here to check and see how it's starting to fit, I've got at least 2 sides marked. That way I can get it in the same general area. It doesn't need to be perfect yet, obviously, because this is all a guideline, and you can see this panel doesn't meet here. Nothing's quite right, so everything can be moved around a little bit, but I don't want to throw it on like this and then throw it on like that. So I haven't been working on this panel very long. As you can see, like, it's already starting to take shape. It's not horrible on the bottom. I got to stretch some metal in here, relieve that. I need to stretch some stuff up here, but a lot of this is actually going to be cut off. Just happened to be the size of sheet that when I trimmed the end off. And I mean, it's touching most of the way here. It's missing up here. I can still get my fingers under it. So I need to stretch everything out this way, fix this edge, but it's coming along. I won't bore you guys with all of the English wheel work here, but I'll kind of throw some clips back and forth as I get stuff where I'm happy with it. Okay guys, there aren't many tools on the planet that will force you to learn patience quite like an English wheel. Now, what you have to remember is that to make shape, what this is doing is, in my case, I'm forcing the lower anvil up. It's curved, upper is flat. Now when you force it together, what it's doing is compressing the metal, and it's not compressing the metal evenly because the lower die is round. If both dies were flat, you could flatten metal with this. Just make it flat but smaller. Because it's curved, it's compressing the center slightly more, which is forcing the metal over the die. Basically the gist of it. Now, obviously that means that these dies have to be closer together than the thickness of the metal for it to work. So if you pull on this and it slides out of the die, you see guys forcing it in. Now, if you're running too much tension, that's just not going to happen. It's not going to go in. But the key to it is to not try and go in straight. It doesn't matter how hard you push. If you try and go in straight, the likelihood is that if you're running an English wheel that's actually got some strength, you're never going to get it in there. And even if you do, the reality is you're probably not running enough tension to work your metal. The key is to start on an edge and roll it in, because no matter how hard I push on the flat, this isn't going in. But you can see I can do this over and over again, say a 20-degree angle, just kicked off to the side where it's starting to roll up. It tensions everything up, and then this piece is right there. Now, the other thing is that you don't want to be running the exact same paths every time. You want this to move around, because if you ran the exact same paths every single time, you're literally going to end up with a panel that's almost ribbed. You could run it this way and then run it this way. You're going to end up with a checkerboard on your panel. You want those lines to overlap at different angles and cancel each other out. And that's why even this piece here that doesn't have a whole lot of shape to it, I've probably got half an hour into this piece already, and it's nowhere near done. But the key is, when I'm done, I can still feel the tool marks here. I don't want to feel any marks when this is done. I want this to be smooth as glass. That's the goal. It's doable. It's just going to take time. So, don't try and rush the process. This is one of those things that you can't rush, no matter how hard you try. Well, basically I'm making passes about like that, back over to the car and fit it, and kind of keep track of where I need more shape. Now, I'm not putting a bunch of marks on this. I put a couple of quick marks on it once or twice. Thing is, the wheel's going to rub some of it off, but you end up with marks all over the entire panel. So don't try and do the whole panel. Don't try and add shape here and add shape here, and don't try and do it all at once. do a little section at a time, go fit it. Do a little section, fit it. And you're going to be back and forth a whole lot here. So I got this thing fitting pretty good. Got a little bit of tension in here, but I'm going to cut that piece out anyways. So I kind of marked there, and one on the back side, and I trimmed the edge of the door opening there. That way I can kind of get a little bit of this tension on the edges to release, so I can finish shaping the last little bit and get this thing tacked in. Trying to do this all one-handed. You can see it actually fits really good here, fits good down there. It's good all the way up here. We got a little bit too much there, and it's sitting a little high there, so I'm going to fix that in the wheel and then trim this to fit. Well, trim that leading edge up right here, match that up so I can butt it, and I trimmed this edge here so that can be butt welded. And then the rest of this, I'm basically going to push it into place, run the zip cut through both panels, and push it in and tack it, work my way all the way around this panel. It's close enough that I can force it into shape, so I give this a go and hope that I don't mess the whole thing up. And there she is, boys. It's in there. Now this corner here, this just isn't quite working as nicely as I had hoped. I thought I could squeeze it in like the rest of this. All the rest of this just needs a little bit of cleanup with a hammer and dolly once it's welded. This corner, I gave it just a bit too much in this corner here. You can see it gappy, and it doesn't help that this didn't fit very well to begin with. So I'm gonna have to do some hammer and dolly work, and it's getting late and I don't want to do that tonight. So this is where she'll be for the night. But that eyesore of a roost panel is finally gone. And on that note, this is where we're going to end this today. I don't know if I quite got as far as I was hoping to. I'm pretty close. I got tons of work to do in the seam. I've got to add this body line like I did on the other side. To be honest, I started on this side because, and I always forget this, as general rule of thumb when you're working on your own car, always do the passenger side first, because that way, if you mess it up, at least it's not the side you're walking up to all the time. Plus, this side of the car is a little bit more accessible right now. But overall, considering how rusty I am, I'm thoroughly pleased with how it came out. So this week I'm gearing up to go back down to my buddy's shop. I got a bead roller to finish putting together, a planishing hammer to build. I think we're building him a tube bender. I'm going to have some videos coming up of some work in the shop. Plus, we're going to cut out the pieces for the intake manifold for those blowers. Get some header flanges cut. If you haven't seen all that, check out the Monday CAD videos. It breaks it all down. But yeah, if you picked up anything, do me a favor. If you haven't already, subscribe to the channel. Like the video, drop a comment, tell me what you think, tell me that I'm rusty and I'm doing it wrong and it looks horrible. Someone's going to comment on the window and the fact that they told me so, and that they don't like the shape, and I'm back and forth about it, but I'm pretty thrilled with how this came out, short of a couple of minor changes I got to make. I got to fix this radius, but that'll be a hammer form or bead roller when I get it back. But yeah, I'm going to shut this down for the night so that I don't alienate all my neighbors, and I'm going to go in and relax. Thanks for checking it out, and I'll see you on the next one.